Okay, welcome to the podcast that takes holistic view on education. It's not about another 10 grammar activities for your classroom. We're here to create a space for cultural exchange, discuss well-being, continuous professional development, business perspectives, and challenges in education. We're here to highlight successful stories of prominent education figures. Join the ride with me, Mohammad Nabil, an English language teacher and teacher trainer, and also the founder of Educast International Conferences. And today I have a wonderful guest. Today I have Dr. Linh Phung, who is a language educator, researcher, and creator with a track record of directing successful educational programs and developing impactful technology applications and language learning materials. She is the founder of the Eduling Speak app, which offers specialized English courses based on communicative tasks and games. As an author, she has published 4 language learning books and 3 children's books. As a researcher, she has her research published in high impact journals. Her professional experience also involves serving as an English language specialist with the U.S. Department of State in 2023, working at Shorelight as a senior research analyst and being chief learning officer at Pangea Chat Current. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, Pangea
Yeah.
chat.
Yeah, Pangea Chat. Yeah. So actually, it's a big honor to have you here with me today, Dr. Ling.
Thank you so much, Mohammed, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I'm calling to you on Black Friday, as we call it here in the US, the Friday after Thanksgiving. This is when people go shopping because there are a lot of sales and discounts. But I am here talking to you, and it's my pleasure. And thank you so much, Mohammed, for hosting me.
Thank you. The pleasure is always mine. So actually, we call it White Friday here in the
Oh,
Arab world. Yeah. And I'm joining you from Saudi Arabia. So I think it's 5 p.m. here. What time is it now where you are?
it is 9 a.m. here, so it is
Yeah.
a really good time. I feel the best in the morning.
Yeah, that's right. It's much better. Yeah, great. So you're ready for my questions?
Yes, I am.
Okay, that's wonderful. So, again, thank you for joining me today, and thank you for being here with me. And let me start with the first question. What sparked your initial interest in English language teaching?
Hmm. Yeah, this is an interesting question, but I often tell a long story of how I was interested in English language learning. I lived in the countryside in Vietnam when I was small, and education there was not as good as in the city. So when I was in grade 6. I was sent to live with my aunt in a nearby city so that I could have a better education. And I was selected to specialize in English. So I started learning English when I was 11 years old. And first, it was really difficult because it's like being a kid writing strange words and letters. But I was really motivated because for us, education was the only way to advance in your life. And I was really motivated to be the number 1 student in the class. So after I got successful, in learning English, or I felt that I was successful, I continued to pursue English. And then I went on to do a bachelor degree in English education. After that, I taught at the university for a few years after graduation, and then came to the US to do my master's. But I'll tell you more about my educational journey in the next question.
So, actually, that sounds really amazing, especially that you come from a small village in Vietnam, and till to reaching, fame and success in the field of teaching English to speakers of other languages, right? Or in general, teaching English. So this, yes, leads us to my second question, which is, yeah, could you walk us through your academic journey from your undergraduate studies to your PhD?
Yeah. Thank you for the question. I specialized in teaching English in my undergraduate degree at Vietnam National University in Hanoi. And then after that, I taught at the university for a few years, but I always wanted to go to an English-speaking country to pursue my higher degree. So I applied to a few universities here in the US. I just told a colleague that I just met at a conference that I actually applied to two universities, Penn State and Michigan State, because they were kind of in the top 50 in terms of ranking. And I was admitted to both universities, but Penn State gave me a scholarship. So I came to do my master's degree in teaching English as a second language. And after 2 years of studying there, I got my degree. I went back to Vietnam to teach, to resume my position there. But then I came back here to get married because I actually met my husband when I was at Penn State. And from then on, I got a full-time job being the coordinator and then director of the English language program at Chatham University in Pittsburgh. I worked there for 12 years, and during those years, I pursued my doctorate in also teaching English to speakers of other languages. Now I'm not at Chatham University anymore, but basically that's my journey from my undergraduate degree to my doctorate and to my professional life here in the US.
Yeah, that's a lot, and especially that it's like a gift, meeting your husband in the place where you moved to, where you studied, where you got your scholarship, and then where you got your full-time job. So yeah, that sounds really amazing. So let's move to the third question, which is how did you first become interested in the potential of mobile technology for language learning?
Okay.
That's your passion. Yeah.
Yes, that's one of my passions. I have always been interested in technology, and I remember when I was in my master's program, we learned a lot about using technology for interaction mostly. So usually when I teach, I often look for opportunities for students to have more comprehensible input, to interact with each other meaningfully, and also to produce language meaningfully as well. So I can say that usually my interest in technology stems from my commitment to second language acquisition and how to best facilitate conditions for language learning. So I did a dissertation on task-based language teaching, and then I started my own organization called Eduling. And then I also noticed that students in other countries don't have as many opportunities to use English authentically for communication. And since the task-based approach basically is about engaging students in communicating ideas, in achieving an objective through a task. So I wanted to create materials for students to use easily to communicate with each other through an online platform using their phone to complete tasks in order to develop language skills. So I would say that that was when I was more intensely interested in mobile assisted language learning because I wanted to develop an app for students to communicate with each other while performing tasks.
Yeah, that's a little bit relevant to the reason why Educast is there on social media, because I thought about the needs of other teachers where I come from, and I decided to do something for them, right? To provide opportunities, and it's the same idea of your website or Eduling to help language learners who don't have enough opportunities to develop this language. Yeah, very good. Okay, great. Wonderful. Okay, moving to our fourth question. Talking about the specific areas of mobile assisted language learning that you have focused on in your research and development. What are these specific areas?
Actually, my passion has always been to create opportunities for students to interact with each other more, to talk with each other more. So even when I was working at Chatham University teaching English to international students, I actually created a lot of opportunities for students to have conversation hours with each other or to have a conversation partner with American students. So when I thought of the idea to create technologies for language learning, I want to provide the same opportunities for students, even when they are not in the US. And so the idea is to connect learners to talk in pairs while performing a task together. So that has been kind of my focus of my research in some way. My dissertation was about engagement in task performance, how students are engaged in producing language during tests. And then later on, I also published another study regarding the same topic, that the impact of choice on learner engagement in task performance. So I would say that my technology development usually stems from my interest in research, but also what we know about second language learning. It is a social process, and interaction plays such an important role in that process.
Okay, that's great. That's great that you always put the needs of learners in your
Hmm.
mind. You always consider them and you work hard to respond to these needs. And this is something that I always share with people, that the most important thing for educators is that they respond to the learner's needs,
Hmm.
right? Yeah, that's amazing actually. Okay, let's move to the next question. And it is, can you describe some innovative approaches to mobile assisted learning or language learning that you have developed or explored?
Okay. So I talked a lot about Eduling Speak already, and I still think that it is quite innovative in the sense that there are tasks for students to perform together in pairs. But then later on, I also developed tasks that they can complete individually, because in task-based language teaching, it is not just, we don't have just communicative tasks for people to complete in pairs or in groups. There are also what is called input-based tasks. So basically, students need to process meaning by listening or by reading and then do something with it, right? So I just shared, for example, a task in pronunciation that students have to listen to a story or a description of a picture, and then they have to move the words to the correct spots, and the words draw on the differences between minimal pairs in English, words that are only different because of one sound. So
One
I
sound, yeah.
actually use that task to teach pronunciation. And when you know about task-based language teaching, there are so many variables and there are so many different ways of designing tasks to encourage communication and encourage processing meaning, that you feel really free in terms of creating materials. So I would say that that maybe is another kind of innovative approach that I have adopted for myself in terms of materials development. Now, moving
Yeah.
into the age of AI, you can see these days you can communicate with AI, you can chat with it. But I also use the same principle in the idea that I want to create little tasks for students to complete with AI. Because sometimes if you just say go and talk with AI, students would not know what to do with it, right? Or if you keep talking about the same thing, you will get bored with it. So again, in terms of approaching I would like to do the same, creating many, many tasks that students can complete with it. I can talk about one more thing that I'm working on. So apart from Eduling Speak, I am also the Chief Learning Officer of Pangea Chat. Pangea is spelled as Pangea. So
Yeah.
Pangea Chat. And it basically allows students to text in the target language, even when they are beginners. And the reason why we can do it is because all of the AI-powered tools that we have available now. So I have been learning Spanish for a few months now just by chatting with the chatbots, but I'm also looking for people to chat with. And it is just so satisfying learning language this way because you say what you want to say. and you get responses that are relevant to you. It is not about learning a word that maybe I don't care at the moment. So yesterday I was talking with the bots about Thanksgiving and
Yeah.
different dishes that we cook on Thanksgiving. So I'll stop there with a few kind of, to me, innovative ideas in mobile assisted language learning.
Yeah, so actually, yeah, before we move to the other question, I'd like to say happy Thanksgiving. Yeah,
Thank
happy
you.
celebrations. Yeah, and enjoy the day. So these are wonderful approaches, actually, towards mobile assisted language learning. And actually, um, um, I really like the idea of focusing on having the learners get the meaning, understanding the
Mhm.
meaning, because it's all about getting the learners understand the language they are exposed to, not only to test their language or test their skills, right? Yeah, very
Mhm.
good. So let's move to my next question, which is about challenges. So,
Mhm.
what are some of the biggest challenges in implementing mobile learning in language education?
Mhm.
And how have you addressed them in your products or platforms?
Yeah, challenges. That's a good question because there are so many that I cannot think of anything specifically. But
Yeah.
again, I often remember the saying that the value of any new technology is how teachers and learners use it, right? So I may have these wonderful products, but nobody is using it or giving feedback so that I can improve them, then that's not really the value that we are creating here. So getting people to use it and adopt it is usually one of the biggest challenges. We are, to me, I often think of myself as a nerd or an academic who wants to create things and who want to write. I don't have any problem with that. But in terms of convincing people to use it, and get the feedback from them, I find it quite challenging. And actually, thank you for this opportunity to share my products today. And I have to say that that is one of the biggest struggles. Another thing that the more I work on it and the more I talk to people from different countries, people don't like paying for technology for some reason. People may be willing to pay for textbooks, which are so expensive. I know that I work with programs here in the US who adopt textbooks that are so expensive. And they tell me because students already have to pay so much for them, they don't want to pay more. So I would say that maybe that is from a business perspective, it's also a challenge that people expect to use things for free, not knowing that there's so much investment and intellectual property investment that is put into it. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that convincing people to adopt it and get the feedback back from the users is one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah, it's always difficult to convince people to change their mindsets regarding, paying for technology. But the idea is not about promoting just a product or a random product on the internet. It's about getting access to a really um, a successful application or website that will definitely help people develop their language, right? And that's very good. And it's not only about languages, because I noticed that there are some courses for teachers also, not
Yeah,
only about the language. Yeah, that's
yeah,
another opportunity. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, so let me say I talked about that, the challenges, but then I don't mind because for me, I like creating. I like making things. It's like really a passion. So, and the thing is that when I do things, I have more things to share, right? If I talk
Yeah.
about task-based language teaching, then I need to use tasks. I need to develop them myself. I need to see people use the task. That is the research part, right? To see whether they are effective. But then I can share the approach with teachers. And that actually has brought me so many opportunities in terms of broaden my professional world in many
Yeah.
ways by sharing knowledge.
That's amazing, actually. And we're not here to just promote the website or just talk about your successful journey, we're also saying that Eduling is partnered to Educast, especially in the upcoming conference, right? So
Yeah.
there will be lots of giveaways and gifts for the people who are going to be there and register to attend the conference, right?
Yes, yes, I'm happy to support the conference. I know how much time it takes to do something like this. Even with a podcast like this, I appreciate the labor and the time that people put into organizing something, sharing something. Even with me writing a short article to share on Facebook takes time. So it is really the joy we get out of it that we are doing it more. So I just want to say that I appreciate what you do, but I'm also happy to
Thank you.
support the conference in any way that I can. And with Eduling Speak, I would love to give premium access to those who register for it to try it out and give me some feedback.
Yeah, that would be amazing actually. And since we're talking about collaborations, that's, the core of my second or next question. Have you collaborated with other researchers or practitioners in the field of mobile assisted language learning?
Yes, I have collaborated with a lot of teachers. That's what I do. So with the Eduling Speak app, for example, it's a mobile app, right? I
Mhm.
have asked colleagues and students to record short speeches to feature on the app. If you are familiar with the IELTS exam, then part
Mhm.
two of the speaking exam is a 2-minute speech. And I actually really like this format because giving a 2-minute speech is something that we do all the time. Even when you're interviewing me like this, perhaps I should not talk for more than 2 minutes to answer each question. Sometimes I may talk longer than that. Or if you go for a job interview, the advice is not to talk for 2 minutes, more than 2 minutes. Or when you meet someone interesting and you want to introduce yourself, you may also give, we call it an elevator pitch, right? You talk
Yeah.
really briefly about yourself. And so my point is that the 2-minute speech is really interesting and really useful, especially telling stories with it is really interesting. So, and I am also interested in real people and real stories. So I have asked a lot of teachers and students to record those speeches to put on the app. So that's one thing. I have conducted a research project on task-based pronunciation teaching with my colleague in Japan, Dr. Bradford Lee. We still need to analyze the data, but we actually used the app to do research by developing a pronunciation task and then compare the different conditions that students perform the task in. So that's another example of collaboration, and there are many more that I can talk about.
Yeah, yeah, that's great actually. Collaborations always lead to success, especially if they are the right ones.
Mm,
So yes, so Eduling is a successful platform and website for people who are willing to develop their languages and even their teaching expertise. Um, have you thought about the future? What do you see as the future of mobile assisted language learning?
mm,
What trends or technologies are you excited about?
yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. I forgot to mention that Eduling also has courses for teachers. So the first one that I put there is called Developing Communicative Tasks. So if you are curious about task-based language teaching and want to learn more in the mobile format, then that is an excellent choice. In terms of future trends, I think from my experience mostly, and from some of the research that I read, it seems that the world of work these days really highly emphasizes skills, and
Mhm.
especially sometimes skills with new technologies. And then sometimes I think about what is special about technology that people need to know a particular thing. But then if we compare it with the past, maybe you need to know how to operate a machine. Maybe you need to know how to do something physically. But these days, our tools are mostly technology, right? And that
Yeah.
means that we have to upgrade our skills all the time. So that leads to the need for upskill and for micro learning in a way. So people now may upgrade their skill by going to Coursera to take a course. When I was working at Shorelight as a senior research analyst, I had to learn new software like the Tableau software to visualize data. So I took courses through a mobile or mobile assisted platform. And why it is mobile, it's just convenient. People use the phone and tablets so often in their life. You can do it really quickly in a few minutes to finish a lecture. So I'm just
Hmm.
feeling that it is growing and growing in that sense that there is the need for micro credentialing and also the convenience of the mobile technology. When I developed Eduling Speak, that was the exact reason why I developed it on the phone, not for the big computer, because I feel like everybody has the phone. They have access to the phone, and that makes it more accessible.
Yeah, I think people only leave their phones when they just go to bed, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so now they have all time in the world during the day to learn, just by using their cell phones, in the easiest way. That's right. Very good.
Mm,
Okay. So I think you're proud of this product, and this is really obvious when you talk about it. You feel the passion and energy to, maybe to encourage people to take steps forward to help themselves and to help others by offering something that really fits everyone around the world. Yeah,
mm,
that fits everyone. So you don't have to use your laptop or computer. You just have to use your cell phone whenever you want, and then you can learn while sitting, on the sofa or in any place.
yeah.
So, talking about the things you're proud of, what are you most proud of in your career so far?
Okay, that's a difficult question. Um, I have this inclination in terms of just do it. And I have mentioned to many people that when I have an idea, then sometimes I just do it. Or after one thing, then I may start another thing. It's still everything is related to language learning in a way. But now reflecting back, and I say this because this is just my experience. It may be experience elsewhere. I was at Chatham University for 12 years. And then now looking back, I felt like I stayed too long. Sometimes
Yeah.
in the US, if you want to have new experience, you have to move to a new job. And now I am in a new place in terms of doing more technology development because I'm involved in two products. Eduling Speak is one, Pangea Chat is another. Pangea Chat is actually funded by the National Science Foundation here in the US. So we have good funding to develop it even further. So that is really exciting. And now I
Yeah.
feel like how I move around or move up is because this willingness to just try out new ideas and carve my own path. So maybe all I can say at this point is that I feel proud that I can carve out my own path and I don't feel stuck in one thing. If I lose the current job, if something doesn't work out, I I am confident that I have ideas to implement and more things to do. So I feel more free. So I guess that maybe it's a ramble, but that is something that I'm more I'm proud of. And I recently read a book in terms of work, and they say that usually people get satisfaction because of creativity, control, autonomy, or control. And now I feel like maybe I have both. I have creativity because I can create things that I would like to create, and I have some flexibility and control in some way in where I want to go. So I'll stop here in terms of things that I am proud of.
So you must be proud of a lot of things, especially this journey is really successful and it's a source of inspiration for anyone around the world. So you must have learned a lot of lessons, especially when deciding to move from a country to another country and you decide that you have to build your future there. You build your life, you build everything. it's a little bit difficult and it might include a lot of lessons that should be learned.
Hmm.
So, what important lessons have you learned throughout your career?
Hmm. Mm, when I guess that I was always driven by something, and I was driven by the right thing for me. So
Hmm.
you can say that I am successful, but I'm not driven by status. I don't care about titles. I'm not driven by money. If I'm not earning much money now, I don't care. Or the next position, I don't care about that much. So I feel like I feel free. When I moved from Vietnam to the US, it was the desire to learn more, to learn in an English speaking country because that was my major. And the decision to stay here was not because I wanted to live in America. I wanted a US citizenship. It was not also something I was motivated by. It just happened that I met someone and I stayed. But in whatever the situation, I try my best. I often say that I work hard and I work with passion and I do things with people. And also as a leader, because I have been volunteering for TESOL International Association, and I have taken some leadership roles. And in whatever position that I am in, I think I'm recognized for working hard and getting things done. Um, so, so I can say for me, what works for me is working along with people, learning from them, working hard, working with responsibility, because when you have in a position you have responsibility even when it's a volunteer position, and getting things done, and other things will just come from there, will just emerge from there. So I guess that maybe the biggest lesson is just having the right attitude, the right values, and just stick with them.
That's really impressive. Yeah. So you said that people should go for their dreams and fight for them, develop decision-making skills, because we will always, find obstacles and we have to decide where to go and what to do and when.
Mhm.
Also, we have to work along with other people because some things never work by working alone. We should always seek help.
Mhm.
We should always work with others. We should work with responsibility. We should work hard,
Mhm.
and everything will definitely become, as dreamed of. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, that's great. So let's not forget about novice teachers and beginner teachers. What advice would you give to novice teachers and also seasoned ones dealing with fast developments in technology? AI and technology advancements
Mhm.
are everywhere right now, and people sometimes find it difficult to cope up with everything. So,
Yeah.
what is your advice in that you would
Mhm.
give to other educators?
Okay. Yeah, I was a novice teacher a long time ago, and I think the technology that I had to learn then was PowerPoint, right? Uh, so I think that when you are a teacher, work with what you have in the classroom, and maybe be centered around, like I say, principles of second language learning and acquisition. Those are more important than
Mhm.
what technologies you have to use. And when I talk about principles of second language learning, in terms of, I often think about comprehensible input. Students need a lot of comprehensible and engaging input to be exposed to. Opportunities for social interaction, opportunities for language production. When you have, I feel like, the right principles, then you find the tools, you find the technology that enhance those conditions for language learning. When I think about technology, I often think of it as a way to save us time, right? So, for example, whenever I teach, if there is a learning management system, it is so much easier than not having it, because when students submit homework, it's all in one place. Or technology can be a way for students to extend learning beyond the classroom. I think perhaps
Mhm.
that is the biggest role of that technology in language learning plays. There is research showing that entertainment technology like YouTube or watching videos or movies, reading books has way more impact on language learning among students in a country rather than technology designed specifically for education. So perhaps think of technology that way, that it extends learning beyond the classroom and it helps you to organize your teaching and perhaps save time.
So yeah, that was a lot, giving or developing the students communication skills, providing them with high quality input, comprehensible input. They need to understand in order to produce meaningful language. Also develop social interaction opportunities, um, engage them, put the students in the center of the learning and teaching processes. So that was really good. And always remember that technology is always there to help us to save time. Don't over rely on technology. Just
Mhm.
use it to help learners and to help yourself as a teacher, because teaching is a demanding profession,
Yes, yes.
and yeah, and it's a time consuming one. So yes, AI is just there and technology is just there to help us in overcoming all of these obstacles.
Mhm.
So Dr. Ling, from a small village in Vietnam to a successful and a prominent figure in the field of ELT, moving through a successful journey from a place to another place, getting a scholarship in a reputable university, getting a PhD in something she is really passionate, about. And also she did lots of researches on that field. I mean, mobile assisted learning. She created her own application on cell phones to help learners all around the world, not only learners, but also teachers, because again, you always have to find other ways to keep yourself energized, keep the passion in you, keep the motivation. Always work for your dreams, always fight for them, always work hard, work with responsibility, develop, the necessary skills to master, or to develop yourself personally and academically. And above all, develop a growth mindset.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it was a pleasure having you today, Dr. Ling, and a real honor, of course, such an inspirational story. And people, of course, all around the world would really benefit from listening to this interview. Just one more thing before we end this interview. We need to tell other people about, again, one more time about the gift they should expect when they attend the upcoming conference, because Dr. Ling isn't only going to be a speaker, isn't only going to be a sponsor using Eduling. She's also going to be one of the moderators of the conference. So that's a gift to Educast, of course. And she's going to offer something to teachers or educators who are going to attend the conference.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for having this interview. I feel like a celebrity. So thank you
Yeah.
for giving me
Yeah,
this
indeed you are.
at the conference. I'm happy that I will be giving a speech on mobile assisted language learning, and I will be supporting the conference. I would love for teachers to try out the app and give me feedback. So I would give some premium access to the app for a period of time, and for teachers to give me feedback. For me, one of the things that always drives me is also getting to know people and getting to know the students, getting to know the teachers. Whenever I'm not doing some, for example, now I develop technology, but I always feel like I have to use it for learning. So I'm learning Spanish with it. I
Yeah.
also, because I still work in the teaching field, so I teach students. And if I don't do those things, sometimes I feel like I'm a fraud. So my point is that I like connecting with teachers and really understanding your needs and how what you need. And also I do all of the things that you do. Even when I teach students how to write, then I write with them. So that's how I also have ideas to share. And if you would like to follow me on Facebook, I share daily about things that I learn. And I'm happy to connect with you at the Educast conference in February, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
You're welcome. So actually, everyone, thank you for joining us today, and we're really looking forward to seeing all of you in our upcoming conference on the 7th and 8th of February 2025. It's going to be on AI, exploiting AI and educational technology and the latest advancements in ELT to shape the future of education. So we have a great lineup, including Dr. Linh Phung, Dr. Ren Moraine, and Scott Thornberry, Dr. Christine Coombe, and lots of other big names there. So don't miss this opportunity because it's a free conference. It's all for free. You will get a certificate of participation if you attend the conference. If you register to attend it, you can find all the information in the comments. I'm going to drop a link for the website where you can find a button you have to click on to register to attend the conference. So again, thank you, Dr. Linh, for being with me today. And thanks everyone for being part of this wonderful podcast. And yes, stay tuned for the next episode.
Yeah, thank you so
Goodbye.
much. See you next year.
You're welcome. See you.
Bye.
See you. Bye.